The Olympic Channel, home of Team USA, presents FIG World Cup Gymnastics. Today, it's day one of the Individual Apparatus World Cup from Baku, Azerbaijan. As we take a look inside the National Gymnastics Arena, where an exceptionally talented group of specialists will be on display this weekend. Alongside Olympic gold medalist Tim Daggett, I'm Tanith White. The men will get things started on floor. And this is the third of 8 individual apparatus World Cup events which will count towards Olympic qualification. So the first was in Cottbus, Germany last November, and the series will run until early spring 2020, but it's the specialist, Tim, who will be looking to take this alternative route to qualify, and a lot riding on these results. Yeah, and both on the men's and the women's side, you have athletes that legitimately are at this competition and have a shot of earning that spot. There are 10 individual spots up for grabs from this World Cup series, as you mentioned, 8 of them. And what you do is you take the top 3 placings that you had at the World Cups, like for example, we'll see Jade Carey a little later on. Her top 3 World Cup finishes will help potentially qualify her for the Olympic Games. So this is a change to the previous Olympic qualification system. Now, both nations and individual athletes can qualify for a spot at the Olympic Games. And as we mentioned, the men will be kicking things off on floor. Here is the order that we will see them. And a number of these athletes we have already seen at the first 2 stops on this individual apparatus World Cup series. So collecting those points, and now in Baku trying to add to that point total. But a great opportunity here to again make some more headway towards that Olympic journey. And so potentially you've got athletes that could go to just 3. And they're eligible, but you'll also have a number of them that'll choose to do more so that they can wipe away a poor result, as Jade Carey did in her first World Cup competition. Emil Soravuo from Finland, first up now, the 4th qualifier to this final. And that was spectacular. Done about as well as you can. Double twisting double. Little bit hoppy on that second combination tumbling pass. He has a very nice look when he's on the floor exercise. Double full, hops back on that, and he's, I'm sure, not happy with that. His easiest tumbling run, and he takes at least a 1/10 of a point off. Now you have to do a skill like this, a non-acrobatic type element. A lot of people fulfill it with a press like that. Sometimes you'll see a flare sequence. Like I said, though, just a very clean look. Routine has to fit inside of 70 seconds. Triple twist at the end. Oh, and a great landing. Fights for it, too. Just a little bit hoppy in the middle of the routine, but beyond that, a very nice exercise. Well, Emil made the floor final in Cottbus as well, finishing 6th there. The one thing he has going for him is his look and landings like that, but he does not have the same level of difficulty. Not quite as hard of a routine as we'll see from some of the athletes that are yet to come. Emil has competed at a handful of international events in 2018 on vault and on floor, but still building that experience and certainly moving in the right direction. This is his 2nd appearance at the Baku World Cup. Highlight right here at the end. Last thing the judges see, grab that floor with your feet and don't move. How important is that final impression, in your opinion? It's critical, absolutely. That'll help him quite a bit. He's really up against the wall, though. He has only, I believe, around a 15.5 maximum score that he can get, and we have some other athletes that are almost a point better yet to come. It was a 14.133 for Emil in qualifications. And there you see the numbers, 14.066. And you see that 5.5 difficulty. You add that to the 10 points he gets for execution minus the deductions.
So that is his maximum score.
Getting set to go next, the top qualifier on floor, a talented young gymnast from Kazakhstan and just 19 years old. This is Milad Karimi. Scored a 14.433 on the way to this final.
And we'll see exactly what I was talking about with the difficulty. Super difficult tumbling. Oh, little bit of a step and 1 foot out of bound. That'll be an additional 1/10 of a point off. Another very difficult combination. His double-double, and just nowhere near prepared for that. He is really capable of being so much better than that. And another really big step forward, as you see. But he lays it all out there. And right there, another, when he arched his body and then adjusted. This has been an error-full routine. Has one remaining tumbling pass. His triple twist. That was probably one of the best landed elements of the routine, but every single tumbling pass had adjustments, steps, hops. Even though he has what could be the most difficult routine in this exercise. Super challenging pass right there. There's way too many hops. And this one was a big one right here. And it's big not just because of the step with his feet. It's how his body lands just like that. His head and shoulders are close to the floor. You want to be basically upright at the end. That was a much cleaner landing position, but he's going to get clobbered here.
Not the performance Karimi was looking for here. He's one of the athletes, as I mentioned earlier, who has competed at both the first 2 stops on this World Cup series. Didn't make the final on floor in either Cottbus or Melbourne. His best results have come on vault, where he's currently ranked 4th in the overall Apparatus World Series. So making the final here, already a step forward, but certainly not what he was hoping to put out today.
Yeah, I mean, just tremendous potential. And like I said over and over again, super hard difficulty, but he's got to either get a handle on the difficulty or he's got to scale back a little bit, do something that's not quite as challenging.
His success started to build back in 2017. At that time, he spoke publicly about the training conditions at home, how cold it was in their gym, how they had to bundle up with multiple layers just to avoid any additional injury. But he did follow those comments up in 2018, saying things had been getting a bit better, had a doctor now on staff, and you see the number there, 13.7.
The astronomical difficulty score, though, 6.4 or 16.4, but lots and lots of deductions.
Up next, the gymnast currently ranked 6th on floor in the World Cup standings from Spain. Here is Raiderly Zapata. And a bronze medal at the Melbourne Cup lifted his name right through those ranks after missing the final at the first stop in Cottbus.
Really difficult start. Nicely done. Does it from a hurdle, no run, which limits his power, but he's got so much of it, it's not a problem. Wow, 3 really challenging tumbling runs, all landed very well. Once again, really good landings. Now, if you're a casual viewer, it almost looks like he's hurrying, and it isn't any almost about it. He is hurrying because you've got to jam-pack so many elements into this floor routine, and you've got to be able to do it inside of 70 seconds. So he has to hurry, which is very challenging endurance-wise. Double layout at the end, so hard to do. beyond that last tumbling pass, really clean exercise, but he's really going to take a hit on that dismount. This is done from a hurdle, no run, a full and a half through to a double pike. That's so hard, and he does it without any extra momentum before. Double front with a half turn, spots that ground, chest is a little low. The compulsory side pass nowadays. But here's the dismount, double out. Look at his chest at the end. Shoulders, head, and chest down too low. It'll be a 3/10 deduction for the step for sure, and then he'll lose at least another 3 and maybe even a couple more on top of that.
So the judges will deal with those numbers. Raderly is a 2015 European floor champion, a world bronze medalist that same year. So plenty to note on that resume. And in 2016 at the Olympic Games, he came so close to qualifying to that floor final, missing it by a 10th. And the following year, tore his Achilles tendon, was out for 8 months, and that injury occurred in September of 2017. So really, he hasn't been back on the competitive scene for very long. And it was a 14.033 in qualifying.
And I think he's going to do better than that because it, like I said, high maximum score, done really well except for the last pass.
So 14.5 puts Raderly Zapata from Spain into the lead. When we come back, the remaining floor finalists will be up, including another 2016 Olympian, Pablo Braguier from Switzerland. Welcome back to the Individual Apparatus World Cup from Baku, Azerbaijan. Floor finals underway for the men, and up next, a seasoned gymnast from Switzerland, Pablo Braguier.
Also a very classical looking gymnast, shows everything off, can do the difficulty as you see right there. Nice double twisting, double somersault. Doing a pretty good job of handling those landings. Another slight hop, but not bad. He's about middle of the pack in difficulty. His maximum score somewhere typically around a 16.0. We've seen 16.4 so far. We've also seen 15.5. Little hop, and if you were observant, you saw his toes were probably on the white line. The white line is in gymnastics, and that is Gymnastics 101. Fly high and stick the landing. Triple
there it
twist.
Is.
I really like this young man. He such a nice guy. I've had an opportunity to meet him at different competitions throughout the world. Such a classy person, and really shows everything off so well. Minimizes deductions as well. A lot of people can land something, and it's not that bad of a body position, but they end up taking a big step or a big hop. That right there was only 1/10 of a point because it's less than shoulder width apart, and once again, he does it there as well.
Pablo is 26 years old, and he is an Olympian, competed in Rio in 2016, but this is his first event on this Apparatus World Cup series. So this is where he starts that journey and starts collecting up those Olympic qualification points. And 14.566 into the lead for Pablo Braguier.
And you know, it's interesting. So this is a World Cup to qualify individuals, but I believe Pablo will make the Olympic Games through the team qualification process. He's good enough to factor into that 4-person team for Switzerland.
Before we get too far away as well, I want to mention Milad Karimi had a score change, upgraded by 1/10, so it's a 13.8 for him. And you see the hometown support building now in the arena for this next competitor, Murad Agarzayev from Azerbaijan.
Big opening tumbling run, laid out somersault with 2.5 twists. Oh boy. A little bit forward on the landing, big step, 3/10 step, and then also feet beyond the white line, so that'll be another deduction. So that's our first example of somebody fulfilling a requirement that's not a press to a handstand. Just a little bit hoppy here and there. Almost a compulsory type element, that 2.5 twist into a rebounding skill forward. And his triple twist. Nicely done. Fairly big step at the end. That'll be a 3/10 step, but overall, a very nice job for him.
The crowd in Baku loves it. How exciting for them to have such a high level of competition right here at home.
And equally exciting for him. Look at this, though. Look at, he skies that. Takes that to the moon. Just a little fumble on the landing. Obviously, anybody that we're going to see is doing very difficult gymnastics. That's his biggest fault in the exercise, I would say. He ended up stepping out of bounds on that as well. But everybody's doing difficult gymnastics, and his is, but not quite to the level of the top contenders. Just a little bit, two little steps. And, you know, I sound like I'm nitpicking, but the judges will do it too.
Murad, a two-time world competitor for Azerbaijan. You see there the frustration on his face with all of those little steps, those little points chipping away to a 13.8. That's the same number that Milad Karimi earned after that adjustment, but because of the execution score, Murad will lead him, but Bragir still in the lead for the time being. 3 gymnasts in this final with Olympic experience. 2 of them are from Switzerland. Here is Benjamin Gichard.
Another nice 2.5 twisting laid out somersault in gymnastics. It's called a Randy. Just a handful of years ago, I swear, a double-double was so unusual because it was so hard. But now, just about everywhere, you got kids that are 14 years old nowadays doing that element. Nice little bit of pommel horse on the floor. Those are called Russians. Pretty clean so far, I'll tell you. Triple twist and just the smallest little steps. He did an excellent job of minimizing the deductions in that routine.
You mentioned just the trajectory, the progress that men's gymnastics has made. It's got to be just an exciting time to watch and think, how far can it go from here? And there's so much talent showing just what that future may look like.
Yeah, every time you start to think it can't go much farther than this, you look really foolish a couple of years down the road because it just keeps going. Like I said, this is beautiful double twisting, double somersault, and just about everybody can do that now.
Benjamin didn't make any event finals in his Olympic debut, but he did help the Swiss men's world team to a 6th place finish in 2018. We also saw him in Cottbus, but he fell short of the score, needed to qualify to the finals on floor there.
Yeah, that 6th place team finish in 2018 at the Worlds. That was a huge day for Swiss gymnastics.
So Gichard already rewriting the story so far for himself on this World Cup series. 14.333. So he goes behind Zapata. And Bragier, again, still in the lead.
Wow. Right now, 2 Swiss gymnasts on the podium, first and third. But when you got a guy like this coming up, that could be short-lived.
Artem Dolgopiat now, the second qualifier in this event from Israel, a world floor silver medalist from 2017, 5th at the recent World Championships in 2018.
And he is tremendous on floor exercise. And it'll start right from the top. Very unusual mount right here. Done extremely well. 1.5 twisting, double front. I've seen some other gymnasts training that skill, but I've not seen anybody else put it to the hard ground in a competition. Another really difficult tumbling element. And he's the kind of guy that always is a little bit better when it's the finals or when it really counts. I remember watching him at a Worlds and seeing him in training, and I thought, wow, it does hard stuff. You know, certainly looks good, but not that crisp, not that sharp, but then walks out on the floor when it's go time, and boy, does he ever deliver. He'll be hard to beat if he puts this. Wow. And he goes the unconventional route with the full twisting double somersault. I don't like calling it when I'm not sure, but I can't imagine anyone being able to handle that. Look at that. Double front somersault with 1.5 twists. Really, really hard. As is that one, a little shy on finishing that rotation all the way around. Oh, look at this one, great. And see how high his chest is? That is exactly what the judges are looking for. Not just the step or the swinging of the arms. Wow, great, great landings.
You know, to touch on what you were just talking about, those intangibles that really make a great champion, Artem's coach talking about things that he possesses that he just couldn't teach him, landing like a cat, but also having that strong character. And there are a lot of talented athletes who just, you know, we hear a lot, they just don't have, quote unquote, it. And it's hard to put a finger on what that is sometimes, but character, along with natural ability, certainly a big part of it, and performing under pressure in those big moments, that's huge.
Yeah, he has got it, that is for sure. Really difficult exercise. He's a contender on the world stage. There you go.
The celebration, well-deserved there. 15.066 for Dolgopiat. That puts him easily into the lead, and your prediction may very well come true there, Tim, with no one else being able to touch that. But up next, a young talent from Australia. This is Chris Remkes. 3-time world competitor, currently ranked 12th on floor in the overall apparatus World Cup standings. He was 7th on floor in Melbourne just a few weeks ago.
Oh boy, and right from the get-go, combination tumbling run. You know, it looks so easy when they just flip around and land on their feet like that, and that was awesome. Double twisting, double layout, but it does not erase that full point and another full point deduction right there. So quick, and we call it bouncy in gymnastics, can just rebound off the floor. But I would say that this is an example of a routine that maybe should be scaled back a little bit. You know, it's always risk versus reward. You want to have a high potential score, but you also want to be able to show it off, and he has not been able to do that here. 2 major falls. We haven't seen anybody fall thus far, and he will finish way off the podium. A lot of potential from this young man, but really got to clean everything up and fix all of those landing issues.
There were struggles for Chris at the 2018 World Championships as well, not able to perform to the best of his ability there. And he spoke later about finding himself in an emotional slump leading up to those World Championships and training, just not able to find that necessary motivation to be at 100%, needing a little time off to reset, recommit, which he says he's done now.
But he's tremendous, so capable. I mean, the pass before this one, there's obviously another full point, was a double twisting double layout. Only, a handful of people are able to do that in the world.
What a difference competing at home makes. I'm just recalling the energy, the gleefulness that we saw from Chris in Melbourne just a few weeks ago. And that can go either way with different competitors, how a home game advantage can affect you, but certainly not the performance he was hoping for today, and unfortunate to follow the performance from Dolgopiat, which was so incredible.
Spectacular.
Chris, born in the Philippines, adopted into an Australian family when he was 2, and it's his parents whom he credits with so much of his success for their ongoing support. And he has had such an exciting career so far. Will no doubt continue to be that for the 22-year-old, but this will be a routine that he will rather soon forget.
Learning experience, hopefully, for him.
And as we know, in any athlete's career, it's often these kinds of performances that you simply have to have along the way to learn from, so that in the bigger moments, you're able to perform to the best of your ability. But it's still tough to swallow in the moment, of course. And he was the final gymnast on floor. So 12.166, the number for Chris Remkes, and he will round out this floor final. But Artem Dolgopiat, you said it, incredible. He will take the gold. Pablo Baraguer from Switzerland, silver, and Raiderly Zapato will round out the top 3 from Spain. Coming up, the women will kick things off their final on vault, including Jade Carey, the world silver medalist. Welcome back to the Baku World Cup. We mentioned it earlier, but there's been a change to the Olympic qualification process. So now both nations and individual athletes can qualify for a spot to the Olympic Games, and through this Apparatus World Cup series, individual spots on the lines. So those athletes whose countries qualify a team can earn a spot at the Games individually. However, there's a catch. Those individual gymnasts cannot also participate in the qualification of their team. So for example, for the women, the US, China, and Russia have already qualified Olympic spots. They did that at the 2018 World Championships, but none of the athletes who competed on that team can earn points at this event, and that brings into the conversation Jade Carey, Tim, who is a prime example of someone who can take advantage of this individual route.
Absolutely, and that's why Jade Carey made the decision to not try out for the 2018 World Championships. I want to give everybody an A+ and a gold star if they understood what Tanith said, and she said it perfectly. And I say that because the Olympic selection procedures have been maligned as being so confusing. Many countries didn't even understand them at the beginning. FIG has made numerous clarifications, and the problem is I don't think they really truly envisioned all of the different scenarios that could come into play in choosing this Olympic teams. But like you said, there are 3 women's teams, 3 men's teams that have already qualified. You named the women's teams. The men's teams are China, Russia, and Japan. At the next World Championships that'll be held in Stuttgart in 2019, the next 9 place teams will qualify to the Olympic Games. The catch there, it'll only be 4 athletes that comprise a team. Every team that does qualify has the shot of adding 2 more individual athletes. One of the ways to do it is this, but there are several others. So it's really confusing.
It certainly is.
And complicated.
And listen, we're doing our best. It's new to us as well, but we will continue to help everyone follow along throughout this World Cup series as we take a look at the start of the men's parallel bar finals. This is Oliver Hegge from Switzerland, bringing some Olympic gravitas to the competition once again.
Pretty good start, kind of fumbled his hands on one of those releases, and that right there, unusual. He definitely kind of fumbled his hand on that re-grasp there, and then of course just a disaster on the landing. You see him grabbing his arm, and it smarts on that front 1 1/4. He just slammed his body down, wasn't able to slow the speed when he missed that hand.
First up for the women, the final qualifier who will lead the way on vault. This is Tjaša Kiselev from Slovenia. She's gone 3 for 3 now in participation on this World Cup series, so she is committed to one of these individual spots.
Very nice handspring front with a full. So to compete in a finals at a major championships like a World Cup, an Olympics, or a World Championship, she got to do 2 different type vaults. This is her first one. Little bit messy and not the highest degree of difficulty, but the landing was really nicely done.
Tjaša missed the vault final in Cottbus, but made it through at the Melbourne Cup, where she finished in 6th place. And one of her goals this year is making the finals at the European Championships, which will take place next month. She's found herself twice now in a position where she's narrowly missed those finals. So even though Tokyo is paramount on everyone's minds, there are still plenty of other incremental goals on the radar for these gymnasts in the meantime. 25 years old, a 5-time world competitor. And it was a 13.633 for that first vault.
And so remember, she has to do a different style vault. So what she did was a front handspring. So she jumped onto the board facing the vaulting table and went straight up and over. If she does a vault like that again, she'll be penalized heavily, and I'm sure she won't. So
Tjaša, 14th place at the 2018 World Championships. She said that result went a long way in boosting her confidence. In fact, saying every result she earns, good or bad, makes her want more and more. So a true competitor. You know, at 25 years old in the world of gymnastics, she said she does have people around her telling her, listen, you're too good to quit, because that retirement is looming perhaps in the next few years. But of course, with athletes like Oksana Chusovitina,
absolutely,
that could change.
She has been a game changer. You got gymnasts like Kim Bui from Germany, who's 30 years old as well. Alea Mustafina, the Olympic great, continuing, hoping to go to her 3rd Olympic Games, has had a child recently.
And I think the question is not why, but why not?
It's a great way to put it. Second vault right here. Fights for that landing as well. Pretty clean vault.
Back over in the men's competition for the parallel bars final, Oliver Hegge from Switzerland, 10.966 after a very disappointing routine.
Yikes.
And now the audience in Baku welcoming the 2017 Greek all-around champion. This is Nikolaos Iliapoulos. And this is only his 2nd ever final at a major international event. So an opportunity for important experience here for the 25-year-old.
That's a big deal, absolutely. He starts very nice with a peach with a half to a handstand. This is a common type routine that we're seeing here. That is called a tippelt, from the end to the middle of the bars. Oh, really nice. little bit messy, but very underrated skill. Difficulty-wise, nice job. Did a Diamondov with an extra turn. Doesn't have the highest level of difficulty, but very, very challenging, to be perfectly honest.
And did you notice the music there, Tim? They had some nice accompaniment there,
yes,
for the Greek athlete. Tjasa Kiselev from Slovenia there on the vault, scoring a 13.666. And now we take a look at Maria Paseka, four-time Olympic medalist from Russia, two-time world champion on vault.
She is tremendous here. Oh boy, and very messy in the air and hands down. This is a super difficult vault. It's called a Chung, named after Chinese great Cheng Fei. She has such a high level of difficulty, though. You see that 6.0, 16-0 maximum. Look at her hands, though. Both hands on the ground. She'll incur a full point off. But I'm amazed to see her here, actually.
Yes.
She has really battled with a lot of injuries, back injury most acutely, and coming back. I believe this is her first major event back since that long rest for her back.
Yeah, she missed the entire season last year while she recovered from that back surgery to put a vertebrae back into place. About a year after that surgery now, already crowned the Russian vault champion early this month, and she wasn't taking it easy there either. I saw the videos. Incredible comeback.
She's capable of doing that vault, and once she puts that to her feet, if she has the opportunity to compete, she is a event finalist in just about every single meet. Worlds, Olympics, doesn't matter. She's just got to figure out a way to get there, because her strength on vaulting alone is not going to put her on the Russian team of only 4 individuals.
13.533 for the first vault.
Really nice. 2.5 twist. It's called an Aminar. Super difficult.
And Nikolaos Iliopoulos from Greece there as the parallel bars final continues. Very competitive field here with these specialists competing in Baku. Matteo Levantesi now from Italy getting set, 21 years old, in his second appearance at this World Cup, and for the second consecutive year he finds himself in the parallel bars final.
Beautiful line and toe point. Gorgeous. Giant Diamondov, that full spin on one arm. Nicely done. Some classical gymnastics in there. That stutz to a handstand and Diamondov. Pretty good.
So Maria Paseka from Russia, the reigning Olympic silver medalist, scores a 14.083. We'll have Levantesi scores in a moment. Women's vault final underway inside the National Gymnastics Arena in Baku. Maria Paseka from Russia with the current lead as another Olympian readies herself for her first vault. Here is Mexico's Alexa Moreno, the 24-year-old first Mexican woman to win a world or Olympic gymnastics medal. She was the vault bronze medalist at the 2018 World Championships.
Very powerful gymnast, and what an event that was for her. As you mentioned, first Mexican woman gymnast to win third place on vault. A lot of energy to get this around. Handspring, laid out front somersault. You see the body position on the landing, though. Her chest was way down. It's a difficult vault, and she'll get, you know, a good number from this, but it definitely had some errors for sure.
We saw her in Rio at the 2016 Olympic Games. Didn't make any event finals there, but this is her best event. She was 12th at the Olympic Games. And you can't watch a gymnastics event without talking about strength, but it comes in many forms with these athletes. And in Alexa's case, that included having to deal with both an injury just a few weeks ahead of the 2016 Games, and then also being bullied and body shamed online while she was competing in Rio. And not only did she fight through all of that, she then went on to take part in an anti-bullying campaign to provide inspiration for other women. So you want to talk about strength. Here's a great role model, and it was a 14.233 for that first vault.
Let's see if she can put this around a little bit better. Slightly less difficult vault she's going to showcase here, and remember, it has to be from what's called a different family. Much better. Yeah, like I said, not quite as difficult, but a better landing position. That's basically a Sukahara style vault, so you do a quarter turn or half turn on.
Matteo Levantesi from Italy on the men's parallel bars final, scoring a 14.166. And a familiar presence in the finals, and especially on this World Cup series from China, here is Yo Hao. And he is a world champion on this event, won that title back in 2015, and he added that to 4 additional world medals, including gold from the team event in 2014.
He is a very accomplished young man and part of Team China. Narrowly defeated the Russians at the most recent World Championships. But he's had his share of disappointments as well. I thought for sure China would come home from Rio with a couple of parallel bar medals, and they got none. The only medal they got was a bronze in the team competition, which was shocking to myself and many others, but super difficult. Oh, little bit of a arch in his back, and then if you move your hands on parallel bars, even small like that, they are deductions. As such a difficult routine, jam-packed start to finish, but this is not as well executed as I've seen him in the past, but that is.
Talk about that final impression, but also, as you mentioned, the disappointment in Rio. Remember, Yo was the reigning world champion on parallel bars, but finished a disappointing 8th in that final. Alexa Morena from Mexico, 14.249. As the competition rolls on vault now, and it's the 18-year-old from France, Colleen Deviar, who will be up next. And she is a European champion on this event. Won that title back in 2017, then added a European silver medal to that the following year as part of the second-place French team.
Really, oh, that is such a shame. Really great power. Same vault that we saw from Moreno for her first vault, but just explodes. Watch her hips and see how much they rise after she leaves the table. Look, she just keeps going up and didn't land with her feet out in back of her enough, had too much momentum. That is a shame, because that was spectacular.
Colleen made her world championship debut in 2017, but injured her ankle last season, which kept her out of Worlds last year. Now looking to make her mark on vault again ahead of the 2020 Games. She was 5th in qualifying for this final, and her score for that first vault of 13.966. Her average score in qualifying, 14.149.
And so you add a full point to that, 14.9, which is a ginormous number. If she had put that to her feet, you can see she's disappointed. Not exactly sure. You know, you see the taped ankles, and if you're doing what's called a backward landing, which she was, if you land short, under-rotated at all, and you've already got your ankles taped, that means that you are in for some serious pain, and maybe her ankles are just a little more tender today. She was being a little careful. Not exactly sure, but because she was absolutely capable of putting that to her feet with a great landing. Second vault, she'll do a Yurchenko style. Nicely done, good landing. The highlight for me, though, certainly was her first vault, even with the fall on the landing. And look at his arms.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I mean, he does one of the most punishing routines in the world.
15.066 the score for China's Yo Hao. And to imagine day in and day out the punishment that those arms alone must take. Absolutely incredible dedication. As we get set now to take a look at Phung Thanh Dinh from Vietnam, the fourth qualifier to this final. Four-time world competitor, training abroad in China, made that move for gymnastics when he was just 7 years old. So you know he's been immersed in a lot of high-level gymnastics in training for his entire elite career.
Good fight on that. Full spin on one arm and then a Healy skill at the end. It's called a Makut's. Release right here. Nicely done. From one end to the other. It's called a Bafsar, named after American great Raj Bafsar. Very, very difficult. Doesn't quite get the flight on it that we tend to see from the very top gymnasts, but this is a super hard routine as well, and thus far done, you know, very cleanly. Double pike, small hop on the landing. Excellent job.
Phung Thanh Dinh, 23 years old. His first World Cup event was back in 2017. And 14.199 the average score for Colleen Duvier on vault. When we come back, the American Jade Carey, world silver medalist, takes to the vault. Welcome back to the Individual Apparatus World Cup from Baku, Azerbaijan. This is the vault finals, and the top qualifier on this event ready to go now. It's the American Jade Carey, looking to clinch that top spot again today. Always a favorite on vault, of course. No different this week in Baku. World silver medalist in 2017.
She does very difficult vault. It's a Chung, half turn on, 1.5 off, nicely landed. Gets a pat on the shoulder from her coach, who also is her dad, Brian. They have been together for so long. So she did not compete at the most recent World Championships. I believe she would have earned a spot. She took herself out because she was very confident, as was just about everybody, that Team USA would grab a spot. They had to be in the top 3 at those Worlds, and they, of course, won in dominating fashion. If Jade had been part of that team, she could not have qualified as an individual through this series. They took themselves out. She still has a shot to compete on that 4-person team at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. I believe she will try to earn that at the end of this summer. That would not preclude her from going the individual event route as well, because the USA has already qualified a team.
Nice to have options when you're that talented.
Yes. Another Yurchenko style vault. Lots of height. Beautiful landing position. Actually capable of doing that vault with Another half twist.
It was 14.933 for the first vault for Jade Carey. We'll await her average score, Phung Than Din from Vietnam there. And it was a 14.366 for Din as the men's parallel bar finals rolls on. Third qualifier to this final now. But the current overall leader from this Apparatus World Cup Series on parallel bars here is Ferhat Arıcan from Turkey. Third in Cottbus, third in Melbourne, and looking to carry that momentum forward with 5 stops left to go from now until March 2020 on this Apparatus World Cup Series.
Has a lot of experience. Very tricky when you go to one bar like that and then do that full spin or Healy down. Gets him extra points. Very nicely done. Makes that look easy. A lot of gymnasts are able to pull it off, but they pause on that single bar, which is a deduction. Maybe just a little bit of body position. He's a little bit arched, a little soft looking, but not there. Once again, that was a gorgeous finish and a really nice job.
Jade Carey from the United States now awaiting her score on vault. It was a solid performance. 14.933 was the score for vault 1. And 14.766 is the average score. She will move into the lead. 3 gymnasts left to go here in this final as we get set to see the legendary Oksana Chusovitina in her element on vault once again. 43 years old, representing Uzbekistan, heading towards her 8th Olympic Games. That's right, I said 8 Olympic Games.
Unheard of. She's not a legend, she's an icon in the sport of gymnastics. Nicely done. We've seen this vault. Handspring front Rudy, she's happy about it. A lot of times she does only a full twist as opposed to a 1.5. You see the D in the upper right hand, that's a 5.8. Maximum score 15.8. Gets pretty good bounce off the table, spots that ground. Not bad body position as she's landing.
14.7 is the score for that first vault for Chusovitina, and we touched on it earlier, Tim, but just breaking boundaries, forging a path for others to continue in the sport, maybe longer than they thought possible. Think of how many athletes have now started this sentence with, well, just look at Oksana Chusovitina. I mean, the impact that that has. You mentioned as well, Leah Mustafina competing in Stuttgart this week after recently having a baby with the same message of why not continue if the love and the passion for the sport is there and it's still possible. And that's exactly what Oksana has said as well, that she just loves gymnastics. She wants to continue. She obviously has plans for Tokyo 2020. 8th Olympic Games would put her among a group of only 13 athletes ever to qualify to that many games.
Wow, this is tremendous. This is the best I have seen Oksana look in a very, very long time. She's always a fixture in the vault finals, but those 2 vaults right there, really strong.
Already a 2-time Olympic medalist, including a silver on vault from the 2008 Games. Altogether 10 Olympic or world vault medals. Most recently in 2011, she took the silver medal. And Ferhat Arıcan, 15.1 on parallel bars. He moves into the lead ahead of Yohao from China, and a fist pump there. Very excited after a solid routine. And we turn our attention back to the men now, where there are 2 gymnasts left to go on the parallel bars. And we go from one Olympian to another. Here is Andrei Likovitsky from Belarus. And at the 2016 Games, he qualified to the all-around finals where he was 18th. In 2018, he picked up a pair of silver medals in Baku at this World Cup event, one of them here on parallel bars.
Nice mount. Very unusual to do it on the end of the bars. We've seen it done a handful of times. Stutz to one bar and then a nice looking straddle swing up to the handstand. Very calm looking. A nice dismount, double pike, just a slight little hop. Not the most difficult exercise that we've seen so far, but he executed quite well.
Likovitsky 6th place in Cottbus at the World Cup there. 10th in the series standings coming into this event on parallel bars. And for Oksana Chusvitna, it's a 14.450. So she moves right in behind Jade Carey of the United States, who still has the lead. A lot of incredible athletes still yet to come, including India's Deepa Karmakar, and her success so unprecedented in India, but incredible new achievement now in celebration of International Women's Day and Barbie's 60th anniversary. Mattel unveiled a number of new dolls from around the world meant to continue inspiring the next generation, and among them, representing India, was Deepa Karmakar. Her vault when we come back to the Baku World Cup. Welcome back inside the National Gymnastics Arena in Baku. Jade Carey from the United States with the current lead on vault. Deepa Karmakar from India now set to go. First female gymnast to compete at an Olympic Games for India. Not only did she compete in Rio, she was almost on the vault podium, finishing just shy of that dream in 4th place.
Has been out with an ACL injury. Oh! Whoa, that did not look good on that landing. Glad she is up here. We have seen this vault handspring forward with 1.5 twists. Oh boy, you see that right knee, it doesn't bend the way it's supposed to. It goes totally in.
You see those knees heavily taped. And she will step down from the podium there. Mentioned that knee injury. She did undergo surgery after the 2016 games. Took some time to recover. Missed most of the 2017 season and part of 2018 as well.
She's walking okay, which I'm glad to see that, but unfortunately I have seen many gymnasts tear an ACL or re-tear an ACL, and they can walk away. I'm just hopeful that that's not the case for her.
Absolutely. But it does seem as though Deepa Karmakar from India is done for today. And back over to the men's competition, the top qualifier to this parallel bars final getting set to go now, and he is from Russia, Vladislav Polyashov.
And he has a really stocked routine. We saw Yohao a little earlier, and he had a 16.8 maximum score, which was the highest. Polyashov has a 16.5.
Andrei Likovitsky from Belarus with a 14.2. He was last up on parallel bars, but it's Ferhat Arichan from Turkey with the current lead ahead of Yohao from China. Polyashov, a 2018 World Team alternate, so that means he is still eligible to qualify for an individual spot through this World Cup series. And this is his first appearance on the series so far.
Very nice start. Doesn't just keep his arms locked, but he makes it look easy. Just glides up to the handstand. Beautiful combination right there. Makes it look much easier than it is. Big release. Once again called a Bafsar. Nice whip it. I like it that he keeps it moving most of the time here. Beautiful Oh, this is awesome. Wow. That was tremendous. Very difficult, executed extremely well. We don't have a score, but that's your champ. I can't imagine he's not.
I think that's a pretty safe prediction. He's coming off some good momentum from the Russian National Championships, which only just concluded. Polyashov now the reigning all-around silver medalist there. We will have those numbers for that outstanding routine in just a moment, but back over to the women's competition. Marina Nekrasova now from Azerbaijan, final competitor.
Nicely done. Somewhat atypical type vault. Most of the women nowadays do the Yurchenko style, where they do the half turn onto the board. But in the event finals, you see a lot of different vaults like this. This one has a maximum scoring potential of 15.2. It's a Sukahara or Kasamatsu style vault. 2 flips with 1.5 twists.
23-year-old here qualifying 7th to the final in her first appearance on this current World Cup series, and for that first vault she will earn a 13.9 even, 13.966 in qualifications, and she is a 4-time world competitor though, and perhaps many more to come, of course, as we mentioned. The likes of Oksana Chusvitna, one of her idols, continuing on for years beyond where many other gymnasts see the end of their careers. So that's plenty of inspiration to keep competing, and we will likely see much more of Marina in the years to come. Jade Carey from the United States, the current leader on vault. 14.766 is that leading score. Chusvitna right behind her.
And not to give it away before it happens, but Jade Carey is your champion right now. No way can she be caught. This vault has 0.2 more in start value. Nicely done, just a little step to the side. A good performance for her, but Jade Carey, she had a disappointing first World Cup. Not today, she's gonna win it.
And Vladislav Polyashov, after his routine on parallel bars, scores a 15.133, and he will go into first place and take a gold medal home from Baku. So that'll do it for the parallel bars final. Polyashov from Russia leading Ferhat Arichan after a number of exceptional performances. Yo Hao from China rounding out the top 3. And Marina Nekrasova from Azerbaijan scoring a 13.966. But at the end of the day, no one could touch Jade Carey, the world silver medalist, 14.766, and a gold medal to go along with her silver from Kotvis at the start of this World Cup. Chusvitna in second, Moreno in third. When we come back, we will continue with the uneven bars final, but Jade Carey, your gold medalist today. Welcome back to the Individual Apparatus World Cup in Baku. Uneven bars final for the women coming up. You see there the starting order. A number of exciting athletes in this competition and outstanding specialists on display today. We will also see the men on rings in just a moment. So far, it has been a delight to the crowd in Baku what these gymnasts have been able to put on display with their skills. And leading the way on rings in this final from Great Britain is Courtney Tulloch, the 23-year-old who's a 4-time European medalist, twice on rings, a silver in 2017, and now the reigning bronze medalist at the European Championships. And he is the top qualifier to this final with a 14.8. He was 7th in Kotvis, 5th in Melbourne, now 4th in the overall series standings, and on a good trajectory to get into the medals here if this trend continues.
And if you're in a World Cup final, you are really strong. Look at this position right there. One of the few gymnasts that even attempt it. It's called a Victorian. Courtney is extremely strong. Always on the verge of making the Great Britain team. He does other events, but he really shines here. Look at the position. Perfect cross, held for the 2 seconds that's required. And there's no fade. There's no change in position. He goes to it, and he stays steady for 2 seconds. Double dismount. Little bit of a shimmy backwards, but right out of the box. Really setting the table right here.
And picking up where he left off in qualifications. He's actually the first British gymnast to reach a rings final at a World Championships, which he did back in 2014, then again in 2017, finishing 6th and 8th respectively there at those World Championships. And first up on the uneven bars, making her senior international debut, here is Anastasia Bachinska from Ukraine. Promising young talent, just 15 years old, a youth Olympian, all-around bronze medalist there in 2018, and made her senior debut at the Ukrainian Championships this year, placing 2nd in the all-around.
Ukraine Gymnastics on the women's side has had a falling off, but they are very hopeful that a resurgence. Oh boy, that is too bad. Just didn't direct that towards the high bar at all. So often you see routine after routine and they make this stuff look so easy, but it is not at all.
So Anastasia Bachinska will take a moment, regroup and reset. She qualified 6th to this final with a 13.033.
So when you fall, you get a full point off. You also lose the value of the element, and that is one of her higher rated ones. Let's see if she does it again. She does. That time is perfect. So good decision for her. Oh, good fight there. Looking for exact handstands. That one was nice. Nice release move. Dismount right here. Simple double tuck dismount, but a great landing. Unfortunate though, the fall midway through that routine.
And at just 15 years old, collecting up these experiences. Now on rings, Ibrahim Kolak from Turkey, the 2018 European Rings silver medalist. And that medal, the first ever silver for Turkey at the European Championships. And some good memories along the way in Baku as well for the 24-year-old. A silver medal on rings at this World Cup event back in 2018. And a bronze at the European Games held here in 2015. He's been a part of that Turkish national team since 2012. And you know, you talk about the strength of the gymnasts all around, but especially on rings. You look at these guys who are specialists on this event and you know where their strength is. Just built so differently and so purposefully to excel on this event.
Yeah, chiseled granite is how they look. It helps to have legs that aren't so big and strong, and he kind of fits that mold. Right off the bat, though, that was a little bit low of an entry point. All of the positions have to be exact. He's nice and parallel to the floor right there. His swinging combination. That one was excellent. As his iron cross. Very nicely done. Should lift his head up a little bit there. He does at the end, but I think the position would be better served with the head up a little higher throughout. Double front in a pike position, very difficult, a blind landing, handles it.
So Ibrahim Kolak, we'll see if he can challenge Courtney Tulloch from Great Britain, who led off this final. Kolak competed at the World Championships 5 times since 2013, qualified to the finals in 2017, where he placed 5th on rings. He was 9th in 2018. And 14.933 is the bar set by Courtney Tulloch as we take a look at Nastya Ilankova, the top qualifier to this uneven bars final from Russia. Really
crazy stuff right there, that combination. Nicely done. A lot of difficulty flying at you. She's one of the top bar workers. Absolutely not just in this competition, but really has the stuff to deliver at just about any competition. A little bit low on the landing, though. Doesn't get her chest up. The rotation is a bit slow off of the bar.
So the scores for Anastasia Bachinska from Ukraine. It's a 12.066. We just saw Ilyankova, 18 years old, the reigning Russian uneven bars champion, already selected for the Europeans team, where she is the 2016 uneven bars and beam champion. Ibrahim Kolak there from Turkey, a 14.566. So Courtney Tulloch still in the lead. The crowd getting fired up. More to come from Baku. Welcome back to the men's rings final in Baku, the final qualifier to this event up next, and he represents the host country of Azerbaijan. Here is Nikita Simonov. He is relatively new to representing Azerbaijan. He was born in Russia, but started competing for his adopted country last summer. Made his World Championships debut just a few months later, where he was 7th on rings. Unable to repeat that success in Cottbus at the start of this Apparatus World Cup Series, just a few weeks later after the World Championships, not making the final on rings there, so currently 18th in the overall Apparatus World Cup Series standings.
Yeah, and a number of Russian athletes, and actually all through Eastern European, have transferred their citizenship to Azerbaijan. Some have actually left, gone, and come back. But he is a very strong young man. Beautiful position right there. Look at, he just freezes perfectly there. Another one. Those are called Malteses, when you're like lying on the floor with your arms out at your side. That's the perfect position for a Maltese. Iron cross, done nicely. Doesn't have quite the same difficulty level of Courtney Tulloch, but thus far really executing well. Just the dismount right here, full twisting double layout, and a stick on the landing. Not a good exercise, a great exercise from this young man.
That's the way you want to perform in front of a home crowd. They are fired up. 14.133 is the score for Ilyankova from Russia on the uneven bars. But you hear the audience still reeling from that performance from Simonov.
Yeah, it was great. Really, really nicely done. Pretty difficult, but the execution and the exactness of it, phenomenal.
The women's uneven bars final continues now as we take a look at Sweden's Jonna Adlertag. Two-time European uneven bars silver medalist, once in 2013, then again this past year. Yona also a 2012 Olympian. She was 31st on the uneven bars, but a knee injury took her out of the running for Rio early in 2016, making her return to competition then in late 2017, and on the road now once again for another Olympic bid. Qualified second to this final with a 14.3.
She has a jam-packed routine as well. Oh boy, but right off the top, way too close to the bar on that first release skill. And she had wanted to connect it right into that skill done down to the low bar. It's too bad. A little bit messy with the legs. But as I said, she has the goods. Oh, very good cover there. She was supposed to turn immediately. She's great on bars, but this was not even in her top probably 100 routines she's done on bars. Disappointing for her. She was second, as you mentioned, 10th in the qualifying, and certainly could have been a podium finish, but with all of those errors right there, it looks very doubtful.
Simonov there from Azerbaijan, 14.8. Great score, but not enough to overtake Courtney Tulloch from Great Britain. We'll have the numbers for Yona Adler-Tag on the uneven bars in just a moment. But for now, we head back over to the men's competition, halfway through the rings final now, as another European medalist gets underway. Here is Samir Ait Said from France. He is the 2013 rings champion, silver medalist in 2015.
And I hate to bring this up every time, but, you know, he had a catastrophic injury in Rio on vaulting. Just really demolished his lower leg. I experienced a very similar thing competing, and I have a lot of pride for him in coming back to the sport of gymnastics at such a high level.
And after that double fracture, which required surgery, he was back at the World Championships in 2017, just a year later.
Crazy, crazy. He did not do a good job with his swinging elements right there. I don't even know what the judges are going to do with that, because really he did not fulfill the requirements to even be called the skill that he was doing. So, going to be interesting to see what he comes up with. It's very unusual error for him.
Yona Adler-Tag, a 13.5, well off the mark of the 14.3 she scored in qualifying. So a disappointment there for the young woman from Sweden. When we come back, we will have more from Baku, the remaining finalists on uneven bars and rings. Welcome back to Baku. Apparatus World Cup underway. The final qualifier to this final on the uneven bars up next. And she is representing Greece. This is Agiro Afrati, 20 years old and already a four-time world competitor. She hadn't competed on the World Cup Series before this stop.
And she's got to really be clean, because she doesn't have as much difficulty as some of the other gymnasts. So your every handstand needs to be exactly vertical. I believe she was supposed to continue that right on. Way short of a handstand on that one. Nice recovery, though, on that beautiful pack salto from high to low. Only the dismount remaining. Double pike somersault, not as difficult as we've seen or will see. A solid exercise, but not really that difficult.
Samir Ait Said from France, a 14.233. You mentioned that major error during the routine, certainly costing him there in the scores. And as is the case every time he competes, anticipation and expectation building now for the most accomplished gymnast on this event. Here is Denis Obliazin from Russia.
And he is just like Jade Carey. He made the decision to not try to go to the 2018 World Championships because it's only, as I mentioned, a four-person team competition in Tokyo 2020. He is a standout forever on floor, still rings, and crazy good on vault as well. Pretty good swing skills, a little bit high on that. His feet were a little higher than the rest of his body. He'll take a deduction for that. He also has been dealing with a lot of injuries. I saw a YouTube video of him the other day doing the most difficult ring dismount I've ever seen, a triple twisting double layout. I don't believe he'll do that here. Usually does a double-double easily, just a hop backwards and then one more hop. Pretty good, but he's not at his best just yet.
Agiro Efrati from Greece with an 11.733. And Obliazin, you mentioned neck and back injuries keeping him out of Cottbus at the first World Cup stop. Then he needed time to get back in shape during Melbourne. So this is his first apparatus World Cup stop, but five-time Olympic medalist, 2016 bronze medalist on rings, and a two-time world medalist as well. So an incredibly impressive resume to carry into any event. And up next on the uneven bars, 17-year-old Diana Varinska from Ukraine. Two-time world competitor, made the final on this event in 2017, placing 6th, but not able to qualify to any finals in 2018, falling twice from the bars in qualification there.
Nice transition. A lot of the gymnasts connect that right into a skill like this, which she, I'm sure, is trying to do, which would give her extra difficulty. Really crazy release combo right there. Oh no! Oh, that is heartbreaking. Such a difficult exercise and just cannot keep it going. Misses her feet. She was supposed to get her feet on the bar and continue. She missed them, had to stop. Once again, it'll be a full point off. That's a shame because she's tremendous here.
We will be back with the scores for Obliazin and Varinska in just a moment. Denis Obliazin from Russia, five-time Olympic medalist. A 14.633 is the score he will earn on rings, putting him currently into third place. So Courtney Tulloch has the lead from Great Britain as Marco Laudadio now steps up, the reigning world bronze medalist on rings from Italy. And this is his first stop in this individual apparatus World Cup series. First international meet since standing on that world podium in Doha.
I'll tell you what, all of these athletes that are competing here, all chasing that same Olympic spot, and you have to remember that it is only one athlete on each event with the best results from 3 of these World Cup competitions. Many of these athletes will compete, 4, 5, maybe all 8 World Cups, and the champion after all of that gets the ticket to the Olympic Games. Little bit shaky right there. So you want to freeze these elements like he did on that cross. Had a little bit of wavering in the strength part prior to that, but really nice handstand too. A lot of times you see guys that are tired at the end, their elbows are a little bent and on the straps, but that was gorgeous right there. Double laid out, a little messy in the air, but the landing was spectacular.
Diana Varinska from Ukraine. struggling on the uneven bars.
Is really just that one part. You know, the rest of the exercise was tremendous.
13.566. It does put her currently into second place, but speaks volumes to her talent and her ability to be able to have an error like that and still remain so competitive. One Chinese gymnast in this final with a slew of strong European gymnasts competing on this event. Here is 18-year-old Liu Jiaqi, 2018 Chinese national champion on the uneven bars. And with 2 medals from the first 2 stops on this apparatus series, she is the current World Cup leader on this event.
And if you are the national champion for China on bars, you are really, really good. They are fabulous on this event. Just do not understand why she wears socks, though. I find it so distracting. Breaks her body line. Really intricate pirouette skills. 2 in a row done to a front flip. A little bit of a struggle there. Unconventional dismount, double full. She can be a lot cleaner than that as well, but she checks all the boxes in this exercise.
Lodario from Italy moving into 5th place with a 14.233.
How about that tattoo? That is something else.
2 gymnasts left to go now in this rings final, and it's time to make way for Igor Radovilov from Ukraine, the 2-time Olympian, Olympic vault bronze medalist in 2012, but in Rio his best results were on rings where he finished 5th. And it's on this event where he is also a European silver medalist, qualified 3rd to this final with a 14.675. We saw him in the rings final at the first 2 apparatus World Cup stops. He was 4th, then 6th, now 3rd overall in the standings.
Yeah, for years and years, he has been a fixture in event finals on still rings and on vaulting, 2 places where he really excels. Team Ukraine very hopeful that they will qualify as a team at the next World Championships. They even believe that they have a shot to make the podium. It's certainly a long shot for them. Their top gymnast, Oleg Vernayev, recovering from multiple surgeries, but if he's healthy, they just need 2 other guys, and this guy right here would help on rings. He is super strong. Nice position there. And that was perfect. Look at how he opens his hands. He does that to show the judges that his wrists are not on the rings at all, which is a deduction. Nice inverted cross. Usually don't see it very often because it is so hard to do it without a deduction. Really still in his handstands. Double-double, small hop. Very strong exercise from Igor.
14.933 is the current leading score on rings from Courtney Tulloch. Liu Jiaqi from China moves into the lead, 14.266. Back with a look at Martina Rizzelli from Italy now on the uneven bars here in this final from Baku. 2016 Olympian. Wasn't able to reach any finals in Rio. She came close in Cottbus last year, finishing 10th there. So still looking to collect those valuable Olympic qualifying points. Liu Jiaqi from China with the current lead.
So looking for big releases, nicely done and very well connected. I've seen a number of gymnasts struggle with that. Pretty good handstand position. Toe on full twist. Thought she was going to connect that right into her dismount. Kind of a wild and woolly full twisting double. Her coach, I'm sure, has told her a million times. He probably has stopped correcting it. She kind of throws her head off to the side and starts twisting a little bit too early. But overall, still a good exercise. Not the most difficult we've seen so far, though.
Igor Radovilov from Ukraine now awaiting his scores for his efforts on rings, and it will put him into third place, 14.666. So thus far, no one can touch Courtney Tulloch from Great Britain. He has a 14.933 in the lead right now. But up next, a man who could very well change that standing, qualifying second into these finals from China. Here is Yo Hao, world and Olympic medalist, world rings silver and bronze medals in his collection. He has yet to find himself off the podium on this World Cup series. A bronze and a silver have him ranked second overall coming into Baku. Again, 14.933 is the score to beat.
Let's see if those muscles work after all that pounding they took on parallel bars. He's very strong as well. Has the second highest maximum score. 16.4 is typically where he's at. Courtney Tulloch had a 16.5. Great start. Should have no deductions at all on that. And this is tremendous. Really, really good. And so incredibly difficult to pull yourself up from the bottom right through the Iron Cross. Handstand position. This is very challenging. That laid out double flip. It's called a gutsogi, named after a great Hungarian gymnast. This is excellent so far. Really, really good. A lot of difficulty and nicely done. Just a little bit of his elbows aren't super locked in that handstand. Double, double. Oh, boy. And that is devastating, because I'll tell you what, a stick right there, and I would have called him the champion right away.
Martina Rizzelli from Italy, a 13.2 with one gymnast left to go on the uneven bars. We'll see how those numbers pan out for Yo Hao from China in a moment. But Georgia Rose Brown now from Australia getting set to go. Final gymnast, 24 years old, bronze medalist at the Melbourne Cup just a few weeks ago on this event. Of course, in Melbourne, no one could catch China's Fan Yilin. Liu Jiaqi, whom we just saw, won the silver there. She is the current leader. And it's funny, after the event, I saw a photo of the medalist there, Fan Yilin, making it just about to Georgia's shoulder level. She's around 5'7". Yeah. We didn't see it, but they often have to adjust those bars before she begins her routine, of course.
And, you know, that makes it harder in some ways, but if you can pull it off, it actually can look even more beautiful and elegant, which she has been able to do in the past. Nice body line. Another great handstand. Another perfect handstand right there. Dismount double front. Nicely done. Big hop forward on the landing, though. But really, overall, gorgeous execution on that exercise.
Yo Hao, 14.5, so he is into 6th place, and he rounded out that final. So Courtney Tulloch, untouchable in Baku. He will win the gold.
And it all came down to that landing, because the scores are so tight. If he had had a much better landing, would have easily been on the podium and would have challenged Courtney Tulloch, I would say.
So celebration all around there. Simonov, we see in front of a home crowd with a great performance. Now we await the final score for Georgia Rose Brown.
I hope they get this right here, because that was very well done. You know, doesn't have the highest start value, but just such clean lines, beautiful handstand positions, and I really hope that they get this right.
What do you think? 13.566.
Well, it's pretty darn good, and she's in third place, so that's excellent.
And she did break a tie to take that bronze medal with Diana Varinska on the execution score. She will finish third. Liu Jiaqi, however, from China with the gold. Ilyankova from Russia will take home the silver. And on the men's side of things, Courtney Tulloch, 14.933, could not be beat today. Nikita Samanov from Azerbaijan, to the delight of the home crowd, wins the silver, and Igor Radivila from Ukraine will round out the top three. Tomorrow, four-time Olympic gold medalist from the United States, Simone Biles, will make her season debut in Stuttgart, Germany. Certainly don't want to mix that. And we have to expect greatness every time we see Simone, don't we, Tim?
Well, when you are the GOAT, the greatest of all time, tune in, because it will be spectacular.
So we will have plenty more coverage in the coming weeks of both the all-around and apparatus World Cups. Here's a look at some of the American entries to those events. Next stop in Doha, then Birmingham for the next all-around World Cup, and Tokyo, Japan as well. Ronnie McCusker, Morgan Hurd. But today it was Jade Carey for the Americans who stood atop the podium, and she was spectacular.
Yes, she really was. She won that title, which is exactly what she was going for. Moreno did a great performance, and Chusavit, now the best I've seen her look in a long time. The best I've seen her look with her going for her 8th Olympic Games. 2017
world silver medalist Jade Carey, adding another gold medal to her collection. 2017 U.S. Vault National Champion, U.S. Classic Champion, now Baku World Cup Champion on vault. We'll be back with you tomorrow night at 10:30 on Olympic Channel, home of Team USA, for day 2 of the individual apparatus World Cup from Baku, Azerbaijan. And a reminder, don't miss Simone Biles' 2019 debut tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the women's all-around at the Stuttgart World Cup. But coming up next on the Olympic Channel, it's the men's all-around competition. For Tim Daggett, I'm Tanith White. Stay with us.